Thank, thank you very much for joining us on the Cloud Native FM podcast. And today we are talking about Keptn. And my guest today is Oleg Nenashev. He's been a Keptn maintainer and he's been from the Dynatrace team. Thank you very much, Oleg, for joining me on this Cloud Native FM podcast and give us some intro of yourself first.
Okay, thanks for inviting me. So I've been with the Keptn community just for half a year, but I've been actively watching the project since 2019 when I heard about it first time. And if you have ever used Jenkins, probably you have seen me on Jenkins Jira or GitHub, because I've been a Jenkins maintainer since almost 10 years ago, and yeah, I've been quite active in other open source projects. So happy to chat about anything CI/CD and of course of things like quality gates. And yeah, thanks again for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this session, and I think this is the Dynatrace first open source tool. And tell us about some of the stuff that the Dynatrace is doing for the people who are really new to what Dynatrace is. So tell us about some of the stuff that the company behind this awesome tool are working on.
Okay, let's talk about it. And yeah, probably I should share my screen and just show a few examples. Okay. Share. Okay, do you see my screen? Okay. It takes some time. So let's press it right. Okay, so yeah, just to quickly introduce myself, I work for Dynatrace. Specifically, I work for Dynatrace Open Source Program Office. I joined it in November to help with various open source programs and with open source initiatives, including Keptn. Before that, as I said, I was in Jenkins. And for me, the story is quite similar to everyone who works on automation tools. I started in product engineering, actually in hardware design. Then you need to do some test automation, build automation. You start using Huts and Jenkins or other tools. So then you need to fix them. And then you become a CI engineer. This was my path. Then I joined CloudBees, contributed to Jenkins and CloudBees CI as a developer. And then I joined Dynatrace. So currently I'm a board member in the Jenkins project. I also a technical oversight committee chair in the Continuous Delivery Foundation, which is umbrella organization for Jenkins, CD events, and many other projects I contribute to. And also I'm a maintainer in Keptn. I also contribute to other projects. Maybe you've heard about Free and Open Source Silicon Foundation, or maybe you've already heard about a new project we just started in Dynatrace called Open Feature. So my work is 100% open source, and I'm happy to contribute in various areas. Okay, so what we are going to talk about today. So firstly, I will do a quick introduction to Keptn. Then we will talk about quality gates, what are they and what the Keptn is about them. And then we will try to explore Keptn together. My plan is that we will start almost from scratch on my laptop and let's see where we get. I broke my Kubernetes cluster just before the presentation, so it might be quite interesting and painful demo, but this is what a demo is for. So that's my plan. By the way, the presentation is already public, so I shared the link in the chat and you can check it out. And let's talk about Keptn and why we actually started it. So is audio good enough, just in case? Time. Okay. Okay. So why we started Keptn? So First of all, Dynatrace, it's a huge company. It provides a lot of tools as a part of Dynatrace platform. It's a software intelligence company which has its roots in application monitoring. So Dynatrace is available as software as a service. Also, there is a lot of on-premise installations, and we target large-scale and hyperscale installations. So many questions are very important for us, including application performance, propagation, and management of our infrastructure. For us, Dynatrace has been early adopter of site reliability engineering approaches, including DevOps, including monitoring of service level objectives and service level indicators. And for us, we have invested a lot in various kinds of automation around this platform. So how it looked like when it started? Many of you have already used Jenkins. So for us, of course, we had Dynatrace as monitoring system, and basically we had a lot of logic operating within life cycle of our systems. So our systems, of course, were instrumented, providing information about the behavior, including performance metric, traces, etc., to Dynatrace. Dynatrace was able to analyze these metrics, provides reporting, and in the case something was going wrong, it was able to trigger alerts. And then through various processing services, these alerts would get to our automation, let's say Jenkins, and it would be able to do something about our systems. For example, scale them up or restart them, or maybe do some kind of automated upgrade. And this approach was working. At the same time, gradually we realized that it's really difficult to maintain these approaches. First of all, it's a problem of the scale of the systems. So when we talk about this principle, when it's Hello World app or something like pet clinic application for our system, yes, you have a few metrics like uptime, response time, or maybe some system resource metrics like CPU, and you get this information and you can act on these events quickly. But when we talk about real systems, actually we talk about thousands of different metrics, and actually if we talk about real site reliability engineering, these metrics are quite complicated, because honestly, when we talk about the large-scale system, let's say hundreds of microservices, we do not really care about what is CPU usage on a single machine. What we care about is user experience. So, for example, what response time a user gets from the system, what is experience, whether they experience various delays, crashes of execution, and this is what matters. Sometimes it's not easy to calculate this metric because you need a lot of data. So to calculate a service level indicator, for example, a metric you target on as part of your car, you have a budget, you need a complex logic to do that. And then you actually need complex automation to act on this metric. So here I have automation inside, let's say, Jenkins, but in this case, if you talk about common practices, let's say canary deployment, progressive delivery, or just A/B testing, there are quite complex workflows that actually require not just this arrow, but the entire cycle. So when you separate these systems, when you have this communication, usually you cannot implement these complex solutions, and hence you need something else. Another problem you might have when it comes to systems is actually integration testing and system testing, because whatever you have in production, in principle, you have the same in development environments and in staging environments. So you can verify your system, you can do performance testing, load testing against your system, as well as just complex verification. And you would need a tool that can operate in all environments, not just production environment, but also in staging, etc., and to provide all the information we need to implement these delivery pipelines for our system. So at some point, it was obvious that it's not enough to just communicate application monitoring systems to automation, and you actually need another tool that would orchestrate your system. So operate with metrics, operates with automation during deployments, and actually saying what these systems need to do based on the information it gets. So this is an orchestration tool that would be needed, and Dynatrace explored existing opportunities, existing tools on the market, and actually they were unable to find something that would fit Dynatrace use cases. And then the team that was working on that, Andy Gardner, Johannes, and many other developers who are currently contributing to Keptn, they decided that, okay, instead of taking existing tool, maybe we need to create a new one. And this is what they did. So in 2018, Keptn started as internal project, internal developer tool, which was bridging this gap. And this is when the project started. So it's just it's almost 4 years ago by now. What happened next with Keptn? Keptn was quite a success internally. It provided different capabilities. For example, it implemented control plane that was doing all kinds of orchestration within the systems, providing dashboards, providing observability and insights into the systems, alerting like application monitoring systems do, but for complicated metric. And it was able to do our deployment flows based on service level objectives, and it was able to automate operations, and more importantly, auto remediation. So when you discover issues with a service in production and want to adjust that. In 2019, Keptn was open sourced and donated to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And at that point, the project became open source. So I can just show you a few examples of that. So if you go to the website, you can see it. So here you can find a lot of information. Keptn has public community, you have contributing guidelines, the metrics, of course you have quick starts, tutorials, and a lot of resources, including documentation, specification, etc. This project is hosted on GitHub. We have multiple repositories and multiple GitHub organizations. So the entry point is just github.com/Keptn. And if you're interested, you can get all pointers here. So you can just go to Keptn/Keptn. It's our core repository, which includes all key components. And this is basically the distribution you can start with. So it's open source. Contributors are welcome. There are guidelines. There are newcomer-friendly issues. And we can talk about it later, how you actually can contribute if you want. What else I can say about Keptn? First of all, Keptn has been in the CNCF for more than 1 year by now. It evolves under the umbrella of TAC application delivery. And actually, in June 2019, we applied for incubation. So currently, Keptn is waiting for incubation, and hopefully within a few weeks, we will be able to say that Keptn reached this status in the CNCF, including all quality requirements, adoption, etc. And yeah, probably we need to talk what is Keptn about. There are multiple messages you can hear about Keptn, because Keptn, again, it started as a developer tool. So it includes various use cases needed for operations within Dynatrace, and then it got generalized. And currently it can be actually used for various different use cases. And how we try to pitch it, it's data-driven delivery and operations for your cloud-native apps. So basically, whatever you need, if you need to deliver your apps, or if you need to operate apps in production and staging, this is what Keptn is for. It also provides a lot of insights, diagnostics by providing dashboards for stages, information. So it's not just a low-level operations tool, it's also a tool available to end users, including administrators who see the system, or managers who want to observe SLOs and to understand budgets, to understand how the team behaves, and also to all other roles working with the company. Keptn has been widely adopted in the industry. So currently there are almost 100 active instances of Keptn. This is just instances that submit usage data. There are a few logos. Actually, there are more logos you can find everywhere. And if you go to the website, etc., you can actually find even some case studies describing how they use Keptn. Again, you can, if you prefer GitHub, you can find the same, not just on the slides, but here. So, for example, there are multiple companies that shared their experiences and case studies with Keptn. So, if you're interested, you can take a look. And yeah, so let's take a look about actually what is Keptn architecture, and probably it will help to understand its use cases. So Keptn itself, it has multiple entries. One of the key entries is, of course, control plane. So control plane is the operation layer which provides all this UI, etc. It talks to external world, so it can be configured from Git using GitOps or other approaches. It has API service, it has web UI, and this provides all information you can connect to Keptn and interact with it. And this is how you integrate the Keptn. So by default, it has just a control plane, and this control plane is what does the orchestration. In some cases, you might also need additional execution. So, for example, if you want to do complex automation like verifying your system, you need to run significant payloads in custom environments. For example, in target Kubernetes cluster, you need to run a Gmeter to do performance testing of your application. And Keptn supports managing multiple execution planes, which are basically deployed wherever needed. They can be just locally managed Kubernetes clusters, or to some extent, you can connect other automation services, let's say Jenkins, GitHub Actions, Keptn, and this is an execution plane which actually does automation for you. And this is architecture on a very top level. So of course, internally it has a lot of microservices. It has cloud native architecture with a lot of components. But these two items is what we need. What important is that Keptn can store its data in etcd. It can be configured. It has a lot of operators and other configurations. So if you're interested to know details how it works, I'm happy to chat about it. One important thing is that Keptn supports integration services. So how Keptn operates, we use cloud-native ecosystem, and to connect Keptn to different tools and different environments, we use a project called Cloud Events. So Cloud Events is basically a cloud-native way to send different events within the system. And for example, Keptn can subscribe to events like application deployed or application crashed or there is metrics violation. And this is what triggers Keptn as automation service. So if we return back to the diagram I showed, so we can have Dynatrace, or we can have, let's say, Prometheus that collects this information. And then when we discover a violation of a particular logic, we can trigger an event by sending a cloud event to the system, which will process that and do further orchestration. Not all systems support cloud events at the moment, and to do that, we provide integration services. So integration service is basically a plugin for Keptn, which runs as additional service and provides you capabilities that allow integrating to particular components. So for example, if you want to use Keptn along with Argo CD, then there is Argo service. Or with Jenkins, there is Jenkins shared library, which actually allows to talk to Keptn from external side. Also, we have various performance testing services like Gmeter, Litmus, and Neoload, and the various executor services like PowerShell, ServiceNow, which actually provide to do some automation and capabilities within the cluster. There are much more services. There are also generic ones like, let's say, Zapier. So if you want, you can trigger multiple automation flows, etc., when processing and deciding what to do with Keptn. Maybe I should just show the example. Same. Do we have any questions before I proceed?
Yes, yes, that's wonderful intro, I guess, and I think the way right now I see the Keptn work is that is by subscribing to the event, like you have so many other, like as you mentioned during the whole conversation, there are dev environment, then we have a testing or staging environment, or then we have a production environment. Previously we have to build those environment ourselves, and then
Yeah.
eventually you do manual steps to promote these environment to the testing and the production. But the Keptn allows you is to integrate with different solution like testing, or you use a Maven build, or you have other builds. And also, and not just by not just you are deploying to different stages, but it's also give you the quality case why you should deploy to the different environment. You have a scores of criteria. So talk us
Yeah.
about like cloud events more for the people who are really new to this paradigm, how Keptn actually using the event model in itself.
Okay,
Just few
let's take a look. So yeah, maybe I should have put it as one of examples. So yeah, Keptn can be basically used in various delivery flows, and for all the operations, etc., it uses eventing. As I said, cloud events is basically a framework which we use. It's one of the standards. It's been greatly adopted. And for Keptn, we have a number of events that supported by Keptn. So basically, if you want to integrate, you have multiple ways. There is Keptn CLI, which basically allows to trigger various commands and operations in low-level way. There is REST API, but there is also a cloud event specification, which implements low-level API. And here we can just see events that Keptn can process and react to them. Do you see my screen right now? I guess, yeah. And here you can see that there are different events that can be sent to the system. So for example, if you want to initiate deployment, if you want to start test, evaluation, releases, there are events you can send to the system. And these events have standard format. So once you send this format, you can firstly notify Keptn that something needs to happen, and you can also notify Keptn about the results. So basically, you can chain multiple tools by just using events and sending them. This is how basically we glue all system together. So Keptn, as many other tools, it's built in a cloud native way. When basically, I rather call it Linux way 2.0. So basically, when you have a lot of small tools, but every small tool is very capable of doing a particular thing. So same as Keptn, it sits on events, it receives events and sends events, and this is how all orchestration works. To show you some example in practice, so again, you can connect Keptn in different ways. I suggest that we briefly glance through quality gates, because it's one of our ways, and then we can take a look at different use cases and examples I can show to you. So for Keptn architecture and tail overview, I just wanted to refer a great presentation by Nana, which was published in the beginning of March. So you can find on YouTube. It's a walkthrough for Keptn functionality and its various use cases available. Today, I would rather want to focus on specifically on quality gates and on how Keptn integrates with all the system. Okay, so quality gates. Actually, this is a term which widely used in quality assurance, and let's be honest, it's used in quality assurance in many different means. So if you take classic delivery pipelines, let's say if you use waterfall and others, you have multiple phases. So firstly, you develop software, then you test it, deploy it to staging, test on staging, deploy it to production. And between all these stages, there are quality gates. So to proceed, for example, from staging to production, you need to fit particular quality requirements. It can be, let's say, performance requirements, passing configuration tests, passing security audit, getting approvals from management, whatever. So this is an abstract meaning of quality gate. So all kinds of different checks that allow you to proceed to the next phase. For example, if you talk about a GitHub interface, so maybe you have seen GitHub checks. I will just show you an example how. quality gates can work in modern world. I'm just opening random pull request. I have no idea what is this pull request about. It's one of Keptn maintainers. And here you can see that, basically we have multiple verifications. So when we check this pull request before we can accept it to our main branch, we have a number of quality gates. So for example, code coverage, where we verify that code coverage doesn't get worse. Then we run Sonar Cloud, where we check for bugs, vulnerabilities, and various suspicions. And also we have GitHub Actions that do various kinds of automation, so including continuous integration, various reviews, checking shell scripts, unit testing, building images, scanning, etc., etc. So you can see there is a lot of things here, and all of the things can be considered as quality gates. So here we can consider we can set requirements. So for example, here we have another quality gate, which is manual. Review is required. So even if we can see that all automation is passed or got skipped, we cannot merge this PR and proceed in our pipeline before manual quality gate called approval or review is passed. So this is what, if you contribute to open source, this is how you can see quality gate right now. Even if you have continuous delivery, etc., you have this kind of quality gate, whether it's automatic or not. And these quality gates, there might be various requirements for that. And basically we have 2 or 3 types. So firstly, we have manual quality gates when you get approval from somebody, for example, here from a reviewer in the pull request I've shown, or they could be automatic ones. So for example, here we could have a flow, but you submit a pull request, then it passes all the checks, and then it proceeds, automatically merges, deploys the code, and you can get continuous delivery, continuous deployment, whatever process you want to do. For example, here, so I don't have example in Keptn because in Keptn we don't have automatic merge, but other projects have them. And the same for CI/CD system. So it's common to have automatic deployment, verification, and hence you need tools doing that. So the approach is quite simple. Whenever in the pipeline, you can actually invoke a tool to do some evaluation. Keptn can be one of these tools. So for example, if you just take a common deployment flow, because this is where Keptn started, you build something, you push your code, let's say, in here we push the image to Docker Hub, etc., for basically staging repository after we do all the testing, etc. Then deployment happens. So for example, we can have Jenkins, Argo CD, whatever that implements this pipeline. Here it calls Bitbucket. Well, I'm not sure what exactly, but we deploy the code. And then basically we get application on staging, which is ready for test. Then we push deployment events, so that can initiate various kinds of automation and testing. Again, here we have example for Dynatrace, but it can be any other tool like Prometheus, if you like open source ecosystem, it can be Datadog. And then actually we start executing different stages. So for example, performance tests. So we can run performance tests externally, or we can run them with Keptn. These performance tests execute, submit reports, and basically push test results. So in Dynatrace, it's called Dynatrace test event. It can be another event in Keptn. And Keptn receives all the data and metric, for example, test results. And then it decides whether quality gate is passed or not, based on various conditions. Based on these conditions, it can either say this evaluation to passed, and then Argo CD or whatever you use here can proceed with deployment to production, or it can be considered test failed. And in this case, we can send a Slack notification to notify users that something went wrong. So this is an example of how the process could work and how you could put Keptn inside this process. And of course, there might be different use cases. So for example, for staging, for progressive delivery, for A/B testing, everywhere we can apply Keptn with different process to do this kind of quality gates between stages. So for example, his staging, his production, And here we can use Keptn in order to define whether we can go with this approval. So basically this is a part of here. And when we pass, we can proceed and do deployment. And this deployment can be done again with in conjunction between automation tool that drives this pipeline and Keptn that performs quality gates, verifications, and basically says us that deployment to production was success. And after that, we can also decide that, okay, if it was success, we are happy, we proceed. But if it wasn't, again, Keptn can be used as for auto remediation. So for example, roll back this version from production back to previous version if our staging environment wasn't successful enough in discovering issues. Again, it can be done by Keptn, and it's called auto remediation. So maybe I could show you how it works in the code base. So we have a bunch of examples for Keptn. And one of examples I can show to you. Well, basically what we have in a quick start. So this is what we will try to do together later. And so in quick start, we actually have a lot of various items, including auto remediation. And this auto remediation is basically allowing to recover the service after it goes down. And here we can see the code, how it actually looks like in our demo. So imagine we have Keptn, and this Keptn has a project that monitors the system. So for example, for multi-stage delivery, so we deploy the project using the pipeline, we pass all verification reviews, and then we have quality check when it's deployed to production. So what it happens during this quality check, so we have gmeter, so basically we generate load tests. So if you like gmeter files, yeah, it's quite like that. But ultimately what it does, it submits several tests against the system. So basically it submits a thread group which generates a particular load, and we expect the system to be able to process this workload. You can see that there is quite a lot of logic generating this workload, but ultimately we just submit HTTP requests with different parameters so that we can basically test the application. And if it passes our criteria, then we can act on that. If not, we just get the report generated. What happens next? We have Prometheus. So Prometheus performs monitoring for us. So we connect to Prometheus and try to extract various metrics from that. So our system that is being load tested by JMeter is connected to Prometheus and submits performance monitoring there. And here, for example, we have metrics we want to evaluate. So for example, response time, information about failing requests, total success requests, and throughput. And you can see that here we use PromQL. So if you're familiar with Prometheus, it's basically a way to calculate particular metrics from the raw data submitted to Prometheus. So here you can see quite complex expression, but actually what we have here, basically we take requests which were successful, and there we do calculations so that we can get a response time averages in the system. So it's quite big, and this is exactly why we need middle term tool, because neither Prometheus can calculate such our condition. So it's service level in the indicator, which is quite complex. And we use Keptn to actually do this calculation. So it's Prometheus service inside Keptn that does it, and then provides Keptn with this SLI metric. So we call these kinds of extensions SLI providers. We have SLI providers for Prometheus, for Dynatrace. There is a prototype for Datadog, and plans to do Azure Data Explorer. And yeah, basically we provide this data. Then what happens next? So this is the data based on which Keptn can make decisions. And these decisions, first of all, we need to understand whether we hit our requirements. So in SRE, it calls service level objective. So service level objective, basically we set the expectations that our system should pass. So, for example, we have an objective that our HTTP response time remains below, I believe, 400 milliseconds here. So here, what do we have? That if it's below 400 milliseconds, we say that it's okay and unacceptable. But we also get warnings if it's just below 100 milliseconds. So we get a warning that actually system starts deteriorating. Same for throughput. We expect that 80% of requests get handled within a particular time. Same number of routines being handled, and we also expect that the number of failing requests would be less than 10% in this case, if I recall correctly. And this is basically the data. And we, for our performance evaluation, let's say on staging to do quality gate, we see this, set these expectations. So if we pass, then we say that it would be successful. If not, then it's not. And here we have two other files. So shipyard is basically our deployment logic. So basically this how we do deployment if quality gates are met. In this case, we use Keptn also to orchestrate deployment. So you can see that there are a number of sequences we do. So for example, we can deliver a system, we can trigger auto remediation if evaluations fail, and there are additional tasks being defined here. And the last file I want to show you is auto remediation. So this is basically an example of how you can monitor the system if you work in production. So for example, if we discover something like out of memory, or if response time, it's one of metrics we calculate, SLA is below the requirement, we can trigger scaling. And then there is magic logic that connects it to the sequences and actually does scaling. So this is basically all the logic we have in these files. And this is how you can configure Keptn if you do it in a manual way. So you can see that here there is a bunch of code that actually provides all this configuration to Keptn, but it's no longer needed because Keptn can be configured through custom resource definitions and through operators. So just yesterday, Thomas Schutz did a presentation on Keptn user group. I can show you later. So how it can be configured in a fully GitOps way where you don't have that many files. Okay, so this is how it could look like for Keptn internals. So basically it can receive the events, do evaluation like Gmeter, handle results and act on that. And thanks to Keptn flexibility for many integrations, you have opportunity to define various kinds of quality gates and various kinds of verifications so that you can actually do automation. And if you want to trigger this evaluation, again, you have multiple ways. So first of all, you can just trigger cloud events. So as we saw here, you can trigger evaluation for SLO, SLI. You can just use Keptn CLI or REST API so that you can run it live and test it without external system like Argo CD just to verify. Keptn can show you quality gate results and your system can act on that. So maybe we could just show the demo and then we can go with whatever next. Any questions so far?
That's a very good introduction, like about the quality gate as well. And one of the things I really like about it, and that actually you draw during the conversation, is like the auto remediation. Like when something go wrong at the 12 a.m. in the night, and who's get the opportunity to fix those up. And that's actually quality gates. Is actually the Keptn actually help you do these auto remediation by using the quality gate as well, because they are
exactly. So it's basic. Yeah, it's one of use cases. So Keptn can be used in delivery pipeline, let's say for quality gates, for monitoring of applications in production for auto remediation. And actually, it's already a cool point because if you design your application properly, in principle, development environment, staging environment, production environment, they're basically the same. You may have different actions, but the rules for evaluation, the environment can be the same. And this is what Keptn embraces by supporting all these stages, all this environment within one tool. So instead of different, let's say, having CI tool, CD tool, then monitoring tool for production, etc., Keptn actually implements orchestration for the entire application lifecycle. And yeah, there is some buzzwords like cloud native application lifecycle orchestration, but actually this is what Keptn does. So it does all kinds of automation, monitoring for different stages, and it makes Keptn super flexible. And at the same time, it remains orchestration tool. So it doesn't do automation for you. It won't do build for you. It won't do testing for you. There are other tools that are capable of doing that in a cloud native ecosystem. And this is what the power of Keptn. So you can integrate with any of other 1,000 tools on the cloud native landscape with other tools, but at the same time, Keptn remains quite focused on the use case we have.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, let's try it out. Actually, again, there is quick start, which allows to try Keptn in different environments. So, for example, if you want, I want to show actually a Docker-based tutorial today because many of you do not have Kubernetes locally, and if you follow the example on your own machine, you can actually start with Docker because almost everyone has it. If not, you can also set up K3S and do more complex tutorial. So let's try it out. For Docker, it's actually super easy. So let's start from running hello world. So here, actually, it's a new demo created by Adam Gardner, one of contributors. Actually, he uses Keptn for performance testing of Dynatrace applications. So he's end user, even if he works for Dynatrace, and he has a lot of feedback about Keptn, and he contributes a lot. So today we will just use result of his contribution. We will just use his demo that used to run Keptn in Kubernetes and Docker. Now it actually uses not kind, but K3D. And let's just test it. So I like living dangerously, so I'm using Windows today. But of course, I don't have Docker for Windows, so I'm going to use Windows subsystem for Linux. It's a new virtual machine, so no magic. Yeah, if it seems that I have no idea what I'm doing, probably it's true. But yeah, first of all, I'm starting my Docker. And then we can actually just take this demo created by Adam. So you can see that it's basically runs everything in a single container. And this single container deploys the Kubernetes environment and all components. So let's see how it goes. I'm not sure I've tested this version, but let's see. So we use Keptn 13.3. It's a recent release just a few days ago. We'll also use Job Executor Service. It's a component which allows to run automatic, custom payloads on execution plane. And here you can see that we start actually Kubernetes cluster inside Docker. It takes some time, but it shouldn't make that long today. Let's see. I really hope that I have enough operating memory on my machine, because otherwise it will be a painful experience.
Yes, absolutely. And meanwhile, as this is executing, I think
Yeah.
we talk about during that conversation the SLI and SLOs,
Yeah.
and I think the SLIs is like you have like in the Keptn, it has integration with the open source toolings like Dynatrace or Prometheus that actually scrape the metrics out of your application, how much the CPU they're using, how much the RAM they are using, how much the response time is. and they will collect those metrics. And then you have SLOs, which actually you need to match those and actually able to configure like 80% of the CPU is using correctly, and you have some numbers in there. So people already knew to, because Dev is a Keptn is a wonderful tool that is actually bridges the two very broader landscape like DevOps and SREs. So tell us about of like some points on what SLIs and SLOs are. People were really new to the SREs kind this terminologies.
Yeah. Exactly. So this terminology was introduced by Google inside reliability engineering practices, but the idea is quite simple. So when you operate a complex system, you need to have some targets. So, for example, maybe you've heard about OKRs if you operate in an enterprise company. So there are some objectives you want to reach. And basically, it's the same for operations team. So let's say your manager doesn't really care how much CPU you use or how many containers you run. You're interested to serve users. And basically, SLIs, SLOs is a bridge that serves um, basically sets expectation about what you want to provide. So yeah, I will just use this diagram. It's good enough for me, I guess. Yeah, maybe this one. So how it looks like? So there is service level agreement. So basically, when you sign up a customer, you set different expectations and criteria. So if you stay within this service level agreement, so let's say uptime 95%, then you're fine. Customer pays you and they get the services you agreed on. It basically defines a service level objective. So for your operations team, you set an objective that, yeah, we have a customer, we promise them 95% availability. And it means that for your service, we expect also 95% or 98%, just in case. And this is a service level objective for your team. So you operate the service as a DevOps team, developers, operations, doesn't matter. You as a team are expected to hit this objective. And then you as a team define what service level indicators actually allow to achieve this objective. And this can be multiple indicators, but actually all indicator is a metric that provides you with some insight about the system. So it can be, let's say, availability, response time, whatever. But this is the metric, which is a technical metric, which can be retrieved from the monitoring system. And this is actually what we do with SLI providers. Sometimes you can calculate it easily on the monitoring side, sometimes you cannot. But this is essential metric. And then once we basically, when we design the system, we go through that from SLA to SLI. And then when we operate, we get SLIs, process them, estimate service level objective. Usually there is a kind of budget. So we can say that, okay, we can have 95% uptime. We also promise that we won't be down for more than 2 hours. And then once per month, we'll have 4 hours outage, let's say, for upgrading the system. So these are various criteria which become a part of SLO. And this, some of these criteria have a budget which you can verify. So basically, then you can define while doing operations so that, yeah, this month we have 2 outages, we have, let's say, 2 hours left within our budget. And based on that, we can make a decision whether we do the upgrade, whether we do the estimation, etc. And this is what Keptn can do and other systems like that. Okay, so we have our system running. I'm not sure how much time it took. But let's say actually what we have. So this is a short demo. I'll do some rearrangement. So full disclaimer, I don't think that Keptn looks really great on narrow screens. Well, I spent a lot of time with Jenkins, so I have low expectations about UI. But yeah, let's see. Here we have our Keptn instance. So this is an instance which is already initialized. You can see that we have a project. So what we have in our project, we have a demo service. So this demo service basically has multiple ways of deployment. And here, for example, we have hello world. So it's basically a job executor service which can print hello world. So if we go to this quick start, I guess it's here, or maybe not. No, it's in another demo, so it's much more complicated executor service. But yeah, let's go to the okay. I completely failed. I forgot where this demo is located, but we can take a look later then. Or let's use Google. Full disclaimer, today's demo is completely unprepared, so I'm not sure where we'll get, but we have 10 minutes. So yeah, this is Adam, and currently we have this demo still on his repository, so we plan to migrate soon, so that it becomes official tutorial. And here we have, yeah, you can see that Adam does a lot for Keptn, and particularly now we are looking for, just a second, I believe it's still called kind. Yeah. Okay, I definitely failed to find it. Just a second. Maybe we could find it in documentation. Maybe not. No. Okay, I will find this code later then. So yeah, let's then spend some time just looking at the system. So in principle, what we have here, so yeah, we have sequence hello, and this sequence just has one stage hello world, which prints hello world using job executor service. So basically, it's a container which executes some scripts. Instead of this job executor service, you can launch a Gmeter, you can trigger Helm to do the deployment, you can do trigger Istio, Jenkins, Argo CD, whatever is needed. So it's basically a pipeline which consists just of one stage, hello, and one step, hello world, and that's it. What else do we have in the system? So currently it's really limited. So you can see that we have a number of other services running just in case we want to test something. We don't have any secrets. We just have one service and one project. Even without the upstream. So we cannot do much with this demo environment. But let's see what we can do. So this demo service, and we can actually trigger the evaluation. So to trigger the evaluation, we can use Keptn CLI as one of the modes. So currently there is a plan to have manual triggering from web interface. So there is pending pull request, but now we can either submit a cloud event, or we can use Keptn CLI, which does no magic. It just uses, triggers cloud events too. So conveniently enough, in this demo, we start in a container that includes CLI. We can authenticate. What? That's interesting. Okay. So maybe it's a glitch because it was unable to find the integration, but then it was able to authenticate. So here we can see that, yeah, there is a command, Keptn, which is running, which has all APIs needed. And we can actually check some other commands. But what we need today is managing Keptn. So I suggest that we could just trigger execution. So we have Keptn trigger for that. And then I'm going to just copy paste because there is multiple options. So right now Keptn interface is quite complicated. So you need to pass parameters when you trigger evaluation. And here, for example, what we can do. So we can yeah, later we can install services, etc. if you want to take a look. But right now, yeah, actually you can see that one of the ways is just to Keptn set an event. So it's just sends this cloud event. But in our case, we will try to trigger it manually. So Keptn trigger, what options we have? Event trigger. So let's see. Yeah, trigger evaluation. Yeah, it's trigger evaluation. So we have project, we have stage, and we have service. So we know that our project is called, I believe, demo project. So let's take a look at the web interface. Yeah, project is Hello World. Service is Hello Service, I believe. And stage is Hello. This is what we checked. So let's see. Known flag help. You never copy paste things, right? Stage not found. So stage hello wasn't found. Let's see what I messed up. So I guess it's actually hello world would be. Let's try. No. Stage not found still. It's weird. What did I do wrong? Service, demo service. Yeah. So you can see that some user experience could be still improved. And stage not found still. Okay. So I just have 4 minutes left to fix that, right? Project hello world. So it still says that this stage is not found. We can actually do some diagnostics. So what comments we? So I guess I just passed the wrong parameter. Demo service hello world. Stage post hello. How about that? Yeah, I know what's wrong because here you can see that I'm triggering evaluation. So evaluation is what you trigger for the quality gates, but here we don't actually trigger delivery, not evaluation, because we just invoke the sequence. Availability of image cannot be set, and yeah. Okay, so now we start. So it was my mistake because in this demo you actually trigger delivery, and yeah. So hello, we can see that we started, and no task sequence with name delivery found in stage repository because we actually tried to deliver this component, but we have only sequence service, so it's not running. And to fix that, I believe that we actually need to change the name. But yeah, yesterday it was working. Maybe we need additional parameter. Okay. So definitely demo effect, but what could work in this interface? So basically, when you trigger, you would execute various events. You could get pipelines running there for evaluation. You can trigger different tests like Gmeter, etc., and then they would provide reports. and if something is wrong, it would report here quality gates, it would put some reports there, and if you have some SLIs, SLOs configured, which we don't have for this demo service, then you would actually have them on the dashboard. I definitely don't think we will be able to run a more complex example. So let's say it could be your homework, or we can join later in the chat. So if you want to try out Keptn, I can just show you where you can start. So yeah, website, a quick start, and tutorials. Actually, we have a lot of tutorials for different use cases. So for example, for quality gates specifically, there are quality gates with Prometheus, quality gates with Dynatrace, quality gates with Argo CD for all the versions. And for example, one for Potato Head on GKE and many other things. So you can try one of tutorials based on your environments. And if you're just interested to do that, just quick summary. So Keptn is a very flexible tool for various kinds of orchestration and operations. It's not a CI/CD tool as many people think, and it's not just for quality gates. Personally, I think that quality gate is not a really successful term because it comes from quality assurance, but actually it can do any kind of evaluation and analysis based on SLIs and SLOs and reporting for them. Yeah, if you do operations at scale in modern world, of course, evaluating quality gates would be important, especially if you do continuous delivery, continuous deployment, and for that, Keptn actually helps with all kinds of automation. So best way to contribute is actually try out tutorials, try out demos, submit your feedback. If you want to contribute code, it's also possible. Keptn is based on Golang. It has some JavaScript for front end, mostly Angular. It has a lot of documentation as code. And if you like SRE operations, there is a lot of demos and examples you can tinker with. If you also want to participate, we have been accepted to Google Summer of Code this year. We have a lot of project ideas for various integrations, and also we consider participating in the Google Season of Docs as well. So if you want to try it out after this presentation and after my completely failed demo, then please join us on Slack. And on Slack, I can just show it to you. I guess. So we have a dedicated Slack workspace, and there we have multiple channels, including, for example, help channel, where you can ask any questions. Also, there is a channel for quick start feedback, a channel for documentation feedback. And if you're interested in this tool, this is the best way to explore it at the moment. So try it out, and any feedback will be appreciated. If you want to know more, we also have a community portal on the CNCF community portal. So you can join, we have meetings there, and also we organize various webinars. So for example, yesterday there was a webinar by Thomas about Keptn with GitOps. We also do user groups with case studies. So join us and follow us. We will be happy to talk. And actually, that's it for me. You can also join us on KubeCon. If you go there, just ping me. I will be happy to discuss it. And if there are any questions, I think that we will have a few minutes to discuss them. You seem to be muted.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. I think it's been we have a very short hour. The Keptn do a lot of things like the automated multi-stage delivery, automated quality gates, automated observability, and for the DevOps, SRE, they can do a lot more session. We can conduct on different aspect of the Keptn in the future as well. What's these aspects are. But I think that's a really wonderful tool to be focused on and moving forward, because it's not just for the DevOps, it's also for the SRE people as well, and also it's do a lot of the troubleshooting, the remediation. These are the things I really like about it. Like it's providing you the way how you remediate your application on the live on the production setup. So I think there is so many good things into it. I think the good way to contribute it to go to the I think the GitHub repository of the Keptn and just start contributing to this awesome project. Also, I think I'm also going to talk about like showing the link for the Oleg talk on the KubeCon Valencia that is going on. So before we let you go, tell us about few words what this talk belongs to.
Well, this talk will be just a quick demo of how to use Keptn with Prometheus. So yeah, you probably saw thank you Keptn obvious memes. and actually I have one for Keptn. So yeah, we will do a quick presentation about how. Yeah, I have a lot of different graphics, but yeah, this meme I wanted to show it to you. So yeah, Keptn is. Am I screen sharing? No.
No, no, no.
Yeah. So do you see my screen now? Okay, so this is the
Yes, yes, yes.
meme I wanted to show to you. And yeah, we will be doing this presentation and showing how to actually observe things with Keptn. But if you go to KubeCon, actually, there is just more than this talk. So there is huge agenda we are aligning because we actually want to incubate. So we will have we will be represented at multiple events, including Bug Bash. We plan to have Keptn community on May 17th, CD Events Day. So Bug Bash is online. Keptn Community Day will be hybrid. We'll have project office hours, which are online. So if you're interested, you can join it, even if you do not go to KubeCon. And there will be also talks. There will be Keptn stand in the exhibition. And more importantly, yeah, we will have a party to celebrate Keptn incubation, I hope. So half a day with all the talks. And if everything goes well, just sneak peek in our plan. So we will have Keptn incubation party. And we need your help because we want to have a pirate ship, maybe Keptn styled for KubeCon Valencia. And to do that, we just need to make to send feedback to Eloise, who said that if you get 2,000 likes in this Twitter, we can have a ship. So you can see that we have work to do, and yeah, feel free to participate. More seriously, we do a lot of events online. So again, join us there. But hopefully we will have a lot of case studies and presentations. So if you consider going to KubeCon, definitely join us. So we will talk about CD events, we will talk about Keptn, we will talk about all the integrations, and I think it will be a great experience for those who are interested.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I really encourage to people who just joining the session on the KubeCon as well. So hopefully we will meet on the KubeCon. But instead of before, my talk is actually is after your talk, so we can actually meet at the Valencia. We have if things goes well with that. So thank you very much. I think it's been a wonderful session for the people who are working, looking forward to adopting this tool, taking out the use cases. What are the best way to use about it? What our quality gates are? What SLIs and SLOs and these kind of the complicated terminologies. So thank you very much for this session. We hope to continue more session on the Keptn side as well. And people who are watching us, feel free to throw us your questions. And we're happy to chat about those questions in the Twitter side as well, or the Slack side as well. So I think we're looking forward to more questions, and just tell us about your idea. What are the pain points? What are the things you want us to cover in the future for the Keptn project? So thank you, Oleg. It's a wonderful session. I really enjoyed the time with you today, and we will meet in the future as well. Thank you,
Yep.
everyone who joined us today on the podcast, and we will doing the more session. Bye bye, everyone. Stay
Yeah,
safe and stay
thanks for
healthy.
inviting.